WWE SmackDown coming back to Pittsburgh on April 19th at PPG Paints Arena. Tickets on sale now through Ticketmaster. And one of the superstars you'll be seeing, he is Grayson Waller. Grayson, how are you?
Man, living the dream, and I heard you needed the Grayson Waller rub. You've been struggling lately, and that when I hear that, I'm a nice guy. I come and help out.
I am glad that we could get that out off the top and just not make it weird. So thank you.
No, it is still weird. It's always weird talking to people who are less than me, but that's okay. I push through. That's my job as a WWE superstar, you know?
Real quick, before we get into WWE business, today, as I'm talking to you, it is Taylor Swift's birthday. Do you have anything you'd like to say?
I have absolutely nothing to say on that topic. I'll leave that to Baron Corbin or John Cena or these other flops who seem to, bow down to the church of Swiftie, not me.
Fair enough. Speaking of John Cena, let's talk about it. You've relatively speaking, you've been in WWE for not that long, and you already have risen to the status of, oh, we need somebody to go out there and interrupt John Cena, Grayson Waller. Oh, we need somebody to go out there and mess up the program with Cody Rhodes on the mic, Grayson Waller. I mean, what an honor that's got to be to just this timeline of your rise.
Yeah, very much so. I've always been I like to cause chaos, and I think I'm the perfect person where, I'm not backstage trying to get these guys autographs and putting up nice photos or like Carmelo Hayes coming out to John Cena's music like I'm an actual fan rather than a wrestler. I'm out there to show them on these guys' level. I like to push their buttons and see where I can take them. So it's been pretty wild getting in there with those big names, but I'm not surprised.
What's been the path for you? Like I said, you've only been in the company for a couple of years. What was your path coming all the way from Australia to the United States and getting to the #1 company in WWE?
So I trained with a place called PWA in Australia, which is the biggest company in Australia, trained by Robbie and Madison Eagles. So I was very lucky to have like world-class trainers. So when I did get the right eyes on me on the right day at an indie show in Australia, when I started at the PC, I felt super comfortable. And not a lot of people can say that. Like the PC is a very daunting place. You got Fit Finley, Terry Taylor, Norman Smiley hanging around. You got Shawn Michaels watching the training sessions. Or the training's hard. It's a long schedule, but I kind of had done a lot of that previously with my training in Australia. So I felt very prepared when I got here, which I think gave me a little bit of a head start to a lot of people.
What about prior to getting in the business? When was that moment? I assume you were a fan growing up, but did you have like that aha moment of like, this is what I'm going to do?
Yeah, it's strange because it's something I always wanted to do. I watched since I was a kid, like a lot of people, but for me, it just didn't happen. I kind of got my university degree. I focused on other things. I kind of lived my life first. And I got to a stage where I was kind of thinking like, I don't want to be that person who looks back and goes, oh, imagine if I had done that, I could have been good. I've never wanted to be that person that lives with regret. So I kind of found myself at a stage where I was like, it's now or never. And I'm very thankful that I took that leap.
Well, and you are part of like kind of like this surge in the last 10 years of talent coming from Australia. It used to be like 20 years ago, if you looked at WWE's roster, mostly American, maybe a few Canadians, maybe a few English, but now, I mean, you, Rhea, Indy, and so many more that have come to the business. What's that about? What's in the water down there? What's going on that's made Australia a hotbed?
Well, I think the thing is, like, the Australian talent's always been there. Like, the guys who came before me in Australia, like, they were always super talented and could have succeeded in WWE, but it was a stage where Australia is so far away. It's so hard to get the right eyes on it. It's so hard for people to kind of pay attention that it didn't kind of have the hype that it needed to. And now with the internet and things, that's kind of changing. But I think Australians always find their way. You look at, like, the NFL, we got Jordan Mailata playing in there. Had never played American football in his life. Now he's, like, one of the top players in the league. We've got players in the NBA. Like, Australians have always been very athletic. So I think it's just a case of we just have to wait till someone opened the door. And I think a few people did that, but Rhea's the main one. Seeing everything that she's doing, she's kind of smashed the door down. And with Elimination Chamber being in Australia early next year, I'm hoping that we filter a few more in because there's a lot of talent waiting down there.
Yeah, that's going to be a big deal. I mean, that looks like that's going to be on pace, this Elimination Chamber in Australia. It could be one of the biggest drawing, maybe like out of you had the big four, Rumble, SummerSlam, Mania, Survivor Series. This might be the biggest of the otherwise, I think, with the way that all the stars are kind of aligning for that show.
Very much so. I saw something this week that we only had 7,000 tickets gone, but turns out that person didn't do their research. We're going to have already we've got 30 to 40,000 people. I know the Australians get behind it, and you already know Logan Paul's going to be there. You already know Grayson Waller's going to be there. Rhea's obviously going to be there, and the Elimination Chamber show itself is it basically sets up WrestleMania. It's that stopgap between the Rumble and Mania. That's a very important show. So regardless of the fact it's in Australia or not, it's going to be a massive thing. I know big things are going to happen. Who knows?
Talk to me about your style, because I think one of the things I like is you know, take your elbow drop, for example. I was just talking about this with a buddy the other day. You know, you have an elbow drop, one of the most, old school off the top rope moves, but just the way you do it, put the hands between the legs like you're doing a dunk, just a little tiny thing that makes it your own. Talk about your style and your inspirations.
Yeah, I kind of always hated being compared to anyone else. I never want someone to see a move that I do, especially a signature move, and be like, oh, that's like this person. So pretty much all my moves, I've got that flipping I'm prettier now. Like Christian did a great I'm prettier, but now I'm doing it my way. Like I always had the inspiration of doing things that I took inspiration from, but doing it in my own way, making it the Grayson Waller way. And I'm a big fan of sports and things. So a lot of my style is very Showtime-esque. I take things from the NBA. I take things from boxing and Prince Nassim, one of the boxing legends, Conor McGregor, all these guys who didn't just perform in their sport, but showed out. They like to have a little bit of fun with it. They were showing off. And for some people, they don't like that style. But for me, I'm a big fan of that. So I want to kind of put that into my style in the ring as well.
Dream match or scenario for Grayson Waller?
There's so many, man, especially now with the WWE roster. It's stacked right now. And there's so many guys that I've got to be in the ring with. And then so many guys that I haven't been in there with. So I think on the mic is one I've talked about before, getting to see what Theory did with The Rock that night. That's something that kind of tested me in my mind. What would I do in this same situation? The Rock comes out, all of a sudden I'm put on the spot. What am I going to say to him? That would be a big one. But at the moment, there's so many that I can't really give you a single answer.
Well, one person who is back, who's grabbing headlines and conversation, is CM Punk. I'm sure a lot of fans would love to see you cross paths on a mic with him, and in due time we'll probably get that. But so far, backstage, any crossing paths, any interactions you can share with?
It's great to have Punk back because obviously, he's a big name, he's a big star, and I got to sit backstage at SmackDown on Friday and kind of sit at the gorilla position and watch him go out and talk. And it's a different vibe, and for me personally, I'm not going to go and ask for advice and kiss his ass or anything like that. That's not who I am, but I am going to sit back and I'm going to watch what you do. And I'm going to be like, wow. And I'm going to take some notes in my head. And that promo he did on Friday, especially hearing the live crowd and everything was cool. But, I had a bit of fun online with Punk before he came in. I like to play with the rumors and those type of things. And, I saw Punk backstage at SmackDown Friday and I'm going to leave it there. I don't think anyone needs to know what that interaction was, but let's just say we talked.
All right. A little bit of a tease there. I mean, I think I feel like I want to scratch that a little bit more, but if that's you're going to leave it there.
But all I'll say, Punk has come back and, I was at NXT last night doing some stuff and, he was there talking to all the young guys, giving them feedback, giving them advice. So he's coming back and he's doing everything he can to help. But Grayson Waller's not that guy. I don't want to sit back and hear his advice. I don't want to wear his merch shirt. I don't want to put up a video of me at 12 years old telling Punk he's the best. That's not who I am. I want to test myself against him. Not just in the ring, but on the mic, because that guy's one of the best of all time. That promo he did in Ring of Honor about the snake and the devil and all those, I've watched all those things. So, I appreciate everything he's done for the business, but I'm not here to be a fanboy. I'm here to be a competitor.
You mentioned NXT. Let's talk about this because I think you're one of the perfect people to ask. As we hear, especially how NXT, kind of went through a revamp a few years ago, and it's went from the black and gold NXT, as people refer to it, to what it is now. And now, obviously, it's firing on all cylinders. It's producing a lot of stars. Fans always hear about that. NXT is there to set the guys and girls up for Raw and SmackDown, and even from the way it's formatted with TV and the entranceways and everything, the cues. Can you speak to some examples of how NXT helped you make such a good transition to SmackDown?
Yeah, and I think it's a perfect example right now because you're seeing the first kind of iteration of the 2.0 guys and girls going to the main roster and succeeding immediately. The Creeds are the best example, immediately. They've just gone up and you can see what they're doing. With NXT, you're out in front of a live crowd, live camera, which for people who haven't done live TV wrestling, that's crazy. Times, you're hearing about ad breaks, all those type of things. You're also getting in there with main roster guys now. They're bringing down these main roster guys to work with the NXT talent so that when they do come up, they feel comfortable. It's when I went up, I've wrestled AJ Styles. I wrestled Apollo Crews. I wrestled Johnny Gargano at Stand Deliver. now it's not as daunting to get in there with these big names that I've kind of seen in the past and watched in the past, because I feel somewhat comfortable. Obviously, you can't be completely comfortable on that bigger stage, but you feel like you've kind of done it before. So I think NXT right now is doing the perfect job of setting these people up, and you can see the success. Kalani Jordan's a great name that I saw on the weekend in Deadline. She's barely been in that place a year, and now she's in front of a huge live audience in this huge Iron Survivor match, and she's absolutely killing it. So there's so many people who are showing that this NXT system is working right now.
Working under Shawn Michaels, working under Triple H. Similarities and differences to that?
Well, with Shawn, he's kind of there day to day. So you're not just seeing him on TV days are wild. There's so many things happening. Like it's hard to kind of sit down and have a proper conversation. But with NXT, Shawn's around. You might be training and Shawn Michaels is watching. You might be doing our PC Live events that we do in-house. We do matches there. Shawn's watching. So you have a little bit more opportunity to talk to Shawn and kind of pick his brain and have him give you feedback and things like that. With Hunter, it's like you're seeing him once a week at TV day. There's 50 people on the roster who all want to talk to the boss man. It's kind of a different experience, but obviously they're both extremely good at what they do. And when they do give you advice, these are two of the best to ever do it. So if you're not listening to them, you probably shouldn't be here.
All right. Being a WWE superstar, you're on the road a lot, more than you're home. Grayson Waller on the road, ideal meal on when traveling.
Oh man, it's tough because obviously we're wrestling a lot. We have to take our shirt off in front of cameras every week. So sometimes I can't partake in the foods that's kind of known for in these towns. But I do my best to try and see what each town has to offer. You know what I mean? So I like to try and embrace the culture a little bit, because the crazy thing in Australia, any town you go to in the whole country, it's pretty similar. It's about the same place. But in the States, you go state to state and it's almost like a different country, man. It's kind of crazy. So I always try and make sure I do something that's kind of cultural for that town type of thing. But I still got to eat clean, because it sucks, because my boy Theory, who looks like $1 million, he's happy with Wendy's. He's happy with McDonald's. You know how frustrating that is to sit next to this jacked bloke and he's eating fast food? I can't do it, man. It's unfair. So it upsets me.
Well, when you come to Pittsburgh, their thing here in Pittsburgh is a Primanti sandwich, and it's a sandwich with French fries on it, and it just loads up. It's meant to be a one-stop shop sandwich. So if you're on the road, you don't have to worry about having your fries on the side and your sandwich here. So that's the gimmick here.
Primanti?
Primanti's, yeah.
Okay, I'm in. Well, we're going to be there April 29, right? Was that the date?
April 19th, yep.
April 19th. Done. I'm going to have a Primanti, whatever that is.
We'll see who can eat it faster between you and Theory.
Dude, it's gonna be him, and that's frustrating because he looks like he looks. It's not fair.
What's the secret? How does he do it?
I think he's young. He's got great metabolism. He also has been working out since he was 4 years old. He's he's just like a different specimen, that bloke.
I don't want to hear about different specimen. You were on Survivor, I read. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. But you don't eat on that. That's easy. That's easy done.
You can survive it, but mentally you can survive anything. You can move past this with him.
Mentally, I'm very extremely mentally strong. That's true.
What was Survivor like, real quick, while I have you? What was the experience?
I always say it was horrible. It was a horrible experience, but it was a great life experience. Being cold, no food, it was crazy and difficult. But I think that's just because we're so comfortable in life now. Mm-hmm. We got pillows, we got blankets. I go down to Publix that has every food that's ever existed. We live very comfortable lives. So it was kind of cool to go back and live kind of like how I think we're supposed to live. Very simple, very basic. And no phone was the greatest thing I've ever done. 30 days, no phone. I've never been happier in my life. So I'm hoping I can somehow replicate that in some ways.
Well, you're a big star now. It's going to be hard to pull off, but I wish you luck.
Man, all these DMs, you know how hard it is to, I'm going town to town. I got to try and keep up with these. It's not easy.
Close the DMs.
Come on, mate. I'm an Australian in America. I'm trying to get my green card, man. This is part of my job.
Fair enough. April 19th, come see Grayson Waller here in Pittsburgh. SmackDown returning to PPG Paints Arena. That's going to be just a few weeks after WrestleMania, so it's definitely going to be a must-see time in WWE. Grayson, thanks so much for your time, man.
I appreciate you, man. Looking forward to being back there.